The Honda Africa Twin Adventure Sport has had a makeover for 2024. The most obvious change being a switch to a 19-inch front wheel. That 19-inch front wheel also means that we have a slightly shorter suspension travel and thus a lower bike, a lower seat height. But there are more changes than just that front wheel, so let's dig a little bit deeper.
The changes to the 2024 Adventure Sports are significant but also very subtle. There's no mistaking the bike, it's still one of the most recognisable faces on the road, and I still think one of the nicest looking adventure bikes, but of course that's subjective. The switch to a 19-inch front wheel definitely marks this as a more road orientated option compared to the standard CRF1100L that retains the 21-inch front wheel. It allows the use of a wider 110/80/19 tyre, in this case the new Bridgestone Battleaxe Adventure A41, but you can opt for a set of Michelin Anarchy Wilds if you intend to head off-road or just want something chunkier. With the smaller front wheel comes shorter travel suspension, less ground clearance, a lower centre of gravity and of course seat height. These factors, along with the shorter wheelbase, enhance the bike's road agility and stability without hugely compromising its off-road capability. The seat height is now adjustable from 835 to 855 millimeters, which is 15 millimeters lower than the previous model.
So I am 5'10", 32-inch inside leg, and this seat is in its highest position at 855. Easily can flat foot this, and this will go down another 20 millimeters to 835, which for me probably is going to be a little bit too low, but for those of shorter stature or shorter leg, I think it's going to give you a lot more options than the 21-inch version does.
A negative side effect of these changes is that the weight of the bike has increased very slightly. The manual goes from 238 kilograms to 243 kilograms, and the DCT ES goes from 250 kilograms to 253. Arguably, the lower centre of gravity means you won't notice it, but it's worth noting the increase. Of course, the Honda engineers haven't ignored the rest of the bike, and although the 1084cc parallel twin engine is unchanged in capacity or peak power, it does have a 7% increase in torque, which peaks 750 RPM lower in the rev range. A reshaped crankshaft and conrod, 400 micron longer pistons with a different surface profile combined with a wider airbox intake, and the new valve timings bring these changes in character. They are noticeable, and again I'll talk about this in the riding section. If you choose the DCT gearbox, changes in the hydraulic control system have improved the smoothness of the clutch engagement, especially at lower speeds. Finally, changes to the fairing and 5-way adjustable screen offer improved aerodynamic performance, better weather protection, but it maintains its unique Africa Twin look. Right, that's enough tech detail. Let's get to the important part. How do these changes translate to real world riding?
Okay, so let's get things started. I wanted to give my initial impressions of the bike just jumping straight onto it, and it's odd, it feels the same but it feels different. If that makes sense. I feel very at home on this one, jumping as I do from my 2023 Africa Twin Adventure Sports. This is a manual. They've listened to their customers. If we had the electronic suspension, there was no manual option. That has now changed, so this is a manual bike. So yeah, it feels familiar, but it feels like a different riding position. You're pushed a little bit further forward, and with that lower front end, it feels a bit more planted. It's obviously a bike that is aimed at more road use. That sun's a bit of a bugger. So it's still got the off-road capabilities. Whether the 19-inch front will limit that, I don't know. We're going to do a little bit of off-road today, not very much, but we will do a little bit of off-roading. But it does feel livelier at the front, maybe a bit more flickable. We'll see when we get up into the twisty bits. So we've been riding for a little while now, a little bit of town work, a little bit of faster motorway or big A roads. So I thought I'd start with talking about the ergonomics. The bars feel like potentially they could be a little bit lower. I'd need to check to see if they actually are. I didn't think they are. I think it's just that different riding position. That hand, foot, feet triangle I think is really good. I was concerned that with the lower seat that angle of the leg might be slightly more acute, but it's not. Obviously the bike is that little bit lower, 20 mils lower overall in terms of ground clearance. Now I never had a problem with the current Africa Twin in terms of seat comfort. A few people have complained about it, and a few of the guys here have said yeah, they didn't really find that seat very comfortable. They've reshaped the seat on this and it's got more padding, I think 15mm more padding, although it is lower. And I have to say, I think this seat is more comfortable. That's not to say the old seat was uncomfortable, but this is a definite improvement. The bike definitely feels more stable, more road focused, definitely. It's amazing what difference 2 inches can make. It does turn quicker. You can kind of feel that manoeuvring if you want to switch position on the road. You do notice the difference for sure. It's good so far. I'm enjoying it. I really like it. You know I love the bike anyway. And for those of you like me who do their adventuring mainly on tarmac but don't mind exploring a little bit of gravel, this could be a perfect bike. More manageable, easier to maneuver around. First impressions are very good. Obviously there's been changes to the engine tune as well, so it's the same engine, gives the same peak power, but torque is up 7%, but more importantly that peak torque is where it matters. I never thought the old Africa Twin was a slouch, and people often say, well, it's only got 100 horsepower, it's not going to be any good. It's surprising how sprightly the bike is, but now with that extra little bit of mid-range, definitely feels like there's more shove down the bottom. It still retains that nice smooth character. You've still got a really lovely engine growl. I don't think this needs any more power than it's got. I can take it a little bit easier here and talk about the handling, and it is markedly different from the other one. It's surprising. It's one of those, I think I said at the beginning, the bike feels the same but it feels different, but the way that you can tow it into corners here and the way it rolls from side to side, much stronger feeling in the front. All in all, obviously very much more road biased setup on this bike. And it handles, you can lean it over. I've got plenty of confidence in the front end. Obviously some of the guys on this launch are really pushing it hard, which I'm not doing. But this is definitely, if you're going to spend more time on the road, this is definitely the bike for you out of the range. So a bit of a switch now. We've had our lunch stop. Now on the DCT, we're now going to go and do some off-roading. I think only simple, basic off-roading, but off-roading nonetheless. And so actually having a DCT bike is, I think, going to be handy for that. I instantly feel at home on the DCT. But just look at these roads, they are beautiful, and this bike is just perfect for it. Having that smaller front wheel, it's made more of a distance than I expected it would, just to the overall balance of the bike, the way it's weighted, the way it feels. It kind of sounds like I'm doing the 21-inch front wheel bike a disservice. It's not, it's still a great bike to ride. This is just a little bit more confidence inspiring, a bit more solid. We'll be careful here because actually the roads are still wet in some of the corners. So it's the first time to get a chance to do some off-road. I think that all of the off-road is going to be like this, pretty straightforward stuff. It's a bit lumpy and bumpy but solid. I think it's within my capabilities, just about, we'll see. I'm just leaving a little bit of a gap to the bike in front so I'm not completely smothering the camera with dust. I'm leaning forward a little bit. I'd probably want to put some risers on if I'm going to be doing extended standing. But yeah, I think if this is all that you're going to be doing off-road, then this bike is more than capable. I'm in gravel mode, which gives me a decent amount of engine braking. I can feel that if I shut the throttle off, I can feel that engine braking, which is handy on descents like this. I am by no means an expert off-roader, so it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when they say we've got an off-road section. Going downhill is always trickier than going uphill. Bit of a climb. This is beautiful though. I'm just taking it easy. Not a place that I would want to crash at the Africa Twin, put it that way. If your own off-road ambitions are this, then there is no problem whatsoever. Yeah, there you go. Even a complete novice like me can do that with no problem. So the off-road's over. We've got what I think is a very twisty road back now. It just gives me a chance to kind of give a bit of a riding summary and show you some of the view as well. I know I keep saying it, but I can't stop saying it. It feels the same, but it feels different. If you're currently riding an Africa Twin, you will jump on this and go, yeah, I know exactly what it is. It's not like you're canted forward with weight on your wrists, but you are definitely leaning further forward. I think as a bike that I use and as a road bike, this is better than the 2023 model for what I want it for. I know people will bemoan and say, oh, we're missing the 21-inch front wheel, and if you're a good off-road rider and you really think that makes a difference, then that's fine. If you're just a purist who's like, no, Africa Twins need to have a 21-inch front wheel, well, you may not like it, but it is an absolutely fantastic bike to ride on roads like this with weather like this. It is just brilliant, and I feel very much at home now. I'm back on the DCT. I was going for the gears then. Just as me saying I'm at home on the DCT, I was going down the gears for that sharp bend. What a donut. But as you see, it will properly get on it. For those people that go, oh, 100 horsepower is not enough, you're just wrong. You are wrong. I'm not normally that forthright on my views, but if people say this isn't enough power on this bike, just go and ride one and check it out for yourself. The way it delivers that power is beautiful. It's got such a nice sound. I know I may be a bit biased on this review as an Africa Twin fan, but it is. It's my favourite bike. It is my favourite bike. If I could only ride one bike for the rest of my riding career, this would be the one that I would choose, and it would be this one, not the 21-inch front wheel one. All round more of what I need and less of what I don't. So good work, Honda. We've got some of the guys here from the development team. So I will shake every one of them's hand when we leave here. Man, this road is just way, what a beaut. It's like sandpaper. The grip is phenomenal. Ooh. It's almost so twisted it's going to make me seasick. Same screen as we've got on the previous one. It's also now available on the standard bike, which is nice to see. 5 positions. For me, as I said, 5'10", with the screen at its highest, I can ride with the visor open. Give you an idea of that. With the visor open, and I'm not getting the wind in my eyes. I've had worse Fridays, I will admit. Such a beautiful place to ride this. And it's just, the bike just flows between bends and bends. I enjoy riding the standard bike. I enjoy riding this one even more. I am sold.
So what is my verdict on the bike? Well, that 19-inch front has caused some consternation amongst the purists, but for me, I think this is a very good move from Honda to differentiate the more adventure based or more off-road based standard bike, and predominantly this bike was always used for more of a road touring type machine, and with this 19-inch front definitely makes a difference. You've got a lot more confidence in that front end, much more grip, it turns quicker, it's just a better overall road bike. Add into that the extra power in the mid-range, which is very evident. It's much more precise, much more instant off of the throttle at a lower level of revs, which I really like. The seat is comfortable. As I say, I've got this seat at the highest setting, but that's 855mm, which I think is pretty much the same as I've got for the 23 model. You can go down to 835, so if you're shorter of leg or shorter in stature, that's a really helpful. And the bike just does feel a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to move around, rolling it, positioning it, parking it. It just doesn't feel quite as top heavy. So I think Honda have done a very, very good job there. I'm pleased to see that front wheel in there and have a more road focused version. Would I have this bike in my garage? Yes, you know I'm an Africa Twin fan. Would I swap the 2023 model with a 21-inch wheel for this? Definitely, yes. For me, predominantly road, bit of gravel, and the gravel that I'm doing, or the off-road, is pretty much like where we're parked here, and this is more than capable for that. So overall, for me, I think this is a much better bike, and if you are looking for a big adventure bike that's going to be comfortable for munching miles and can do some decent off-roading as well, don't forget you've still got 220mm of ground clearance in this, which is still pretty good. So definitely go and try one out. If you're interested in it, get a test ride done. It is a very, very good bike. So I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comment section down below, and all that leaves me to say is until next time, thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.